Sweet corn is one of the best things about summer, but we all probably already know how to make it. We have our favorite way of serving it. So I thought I'd ditch the cob for a new twist. Here's this week's Brittany's Bites. Today we are working with a lot of fresh ingredients because so many things are in season right now. That includes sweet corn, one of my favorites. So I was going to make a corn chowder, then I thought, how about a corn salad? I ended up landing on Mexican street corn salad. So popular right now. Street corn is all over menus everywhere when you go to restaurants, otherwise known as elote. So this is a little twist. I added a few extra ingredients to this. You can do it however you'd like. I'm just giving you a little base to start with. So speaking of starting with, we're starting with corn on the cob. This is a great time to go out and do this on the grill. Get the little char marks, really boost the flavor. Of course, I'm here in my own kitchen, so I just put them in a pot and boiled them. I already had 3 that I have chopped off and put in here. I really thought I would end up with more, so I might up this to even 5 or 6 of them. This is the 4th one. I just wanted to kind of show you what I was doing. You probably have seen that trick where you take a bunt pan and put this in the middle, and then you shave around and all of the corn kernels fall into the bunt pan ring. Super great. So helpful. These, with this sharp knife, it wasn't sort of going everywhere. It wasn't a big problem. So I'm just sticking with my cutting board. So after you let it cool, of course, a little bit after you get it out of the boiling water, then you're just going to slice it down. And you don't want to get too far into the core here, but you definitely want to make sure that you're getting all of those kernels. And I can break these up. It's actually helpful that it's coming off this way, where it's sort of in little strips, because that will help me to get into the bowl a little easier. All right, so let's break this up now into the bowl. I want to get all of my kernels. And you know, if some of these don't break up all the way, it's a nice little nod to let people know this is fresh corn on the cob. Like I said, I really thought it'd end up with more with all of those cobs that I put in there, but we will work with what we have. That's what we do, right? Okay, almost broken up. Okay, so what I'm gonna add to this, some red pepper. And this looks like it's gonna be a lot of red pepper for this. It's 1 entire red bell pepper. I'm just gonna start with putting in a little bit, and once I mix it together, I may add more. Then I have about 1/4 of a red onion. This looks to be actually about 1/2 cup when I chop it up. Also, a lot going on here. So I am just going to sprinkle in a little bit to start. Then I have a jalapeno. I'm adding this. I love spice, I love heat. It's 1 entire jalapeno. I'm adding the whole thing. I'm going with it because I love heat that much. Then I have the rind. I've just shaved off the rind. What do you call it? I'm blanking on the name now. I'll come up with it. Why? Zest, that's what it is. Zest. I zested 1 lime, and I used the juice actually in the dressing, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the zest in here. And then this is another very traditional ingredient that you want to have, the cotija cheese. I really wanted to find the kind that you can kind of crumble up into larger chunks, but the grocery store was all out of everything. So thankfully I had some of this in my fridge. It's basically like the grated Parmesan that we're used to seeing. And you could absolutely substitute that if you needed to. Another great substitute is actually feta cheese. So whatever you have on hand, but I'm gonna sprinkle quite a bit in here. It's already looking great, isn't it? Love it. All right, I think that's all we want for the actual salad base. So I'm gonna mix this up, and then we'll make our dressing. And our dressing is basically a base of a little mayo and sour cream. Now, if you'd like to make this a little healthier, Greek yogurt, just do that, totally fine. All right, so I have a tablespoon over here. I'm just gonna do about 2 tablespoons of mayo, 2 heaping tablespoons, and then about 2 tablespoons of sour cream. I've got that ready to go over here as well. And again, like I said, you could either substitute part of this with Greek yogurt or do all of it with Greek yogurt. There's my sour cream. All right, got that, good to go. Now I'm gonna put in some garlic. I have 1 clove of grated garlic, and then I want to get that lime juice in here for sure, and then we'll add some spices. So speaking of that lime, when you are, oh, a red pepper escaped. When you're juicing a lime or a lemon, a little trick is to roll it a little bit, gets things loose in there. Then have my little juicer. I'm gonna juice it right in here. Oh yeah, look at all of the juice coming out. This is a very juicy lime. I don't know if I want to do the entire other half because this was so juicy. I think I'm gonna start with that and then we might add to it. All right, I'm gonna do some salt and pepper, a little pepper there, and some salt. You don't need a whole lot of salt because that cheese that you put in is gonna give some saltiness there. Now I just grabbed some spices out. I'm gonna use 4 spices. The first one being paprika. And I wanna do about equal parts of each, but you could do a little more, a little less, depending upon which ones you like or don't like so much. So the first I'm doing is paprika. Putting that in there. The next will be chili powder. That's a very, very traditional one that you want to include. In we go. Then we're gonna do some cumin. And finally, some coriander. Depending on how this goes, I may add actually another tablespoon or so of each of the mayo and the sour cream. But let's mix this up and see where things stand. Oh yeah, it's gonna be very spicy, that's for sure. This also comes together very quickly. Honestly, the hardest part is making sure that you dice up all the vegetables. And speaking of that, you do want to try to make sure that they're pretty uniform because you want everything else to be about the size of those corn kernels. So that does take some time. So here is our salad ready to go. And I would be, you know, pretty light on the dressing to begin because as I was just kind of saying, you can add to, but it's hard to take away. So I'm gonna pour some in. Stir it up. There we go. How easy was that? Like I said, if you want to make a bigger batch, just use more corn. If you need to use frozen corn or canned corn because that's what you have on hand, totally, totally fine. Once you mix it together with all of this other stuff, you'll never know the difference. But how easy was that to come together? Again, it's really the prep work that does it. You can then just make an easy Mexican street corn salad. Hope you give it a try. Cheers. By the way, I did add cilantro to that. That will be in the recipe. That happened after we went off camera. Remember, if you have a picture to share or an idea for a future recipe, you can text us at 614-460-3345 or find me on social media.